Elon Musk and Tesla pulling big moves, move after move after move. It's absolutely incredible, folks. This one matters in a massive way. Rivian follows the lead of other EV makers joining Tesla's charging network. This is so much bigger than folks realize, okay? And this announcement here today is way bigger, in my opinion, than General Motors and Ford's announcements combined. And I'm going to explain why I believe that in this video. And so I want to react to these guys and kind of share my thoughts on this, okay? Second video I want to react to is this one, which would be very interesting to get into. Older retail traders are outpacing young traders on AI stock buying. Now, this is really intriguing. So, yeah, the old dogs taking the lead on a new technology over the youngins. This should be interesting. So, hope you guys enjoyed today's video. As always, I appreciate you guys being here. Thanks for being subscribed. We're now 29,100 plus subscribers strong. We break new all-time highs almost on an everyday basis. So, I appreciate you guys. And also, massive epic. This is the first time I'm announcing it. We got big time coming, baby. July 4th, we're going to open up the $10 Patreon tier, which has been closed down for quite some time now. We're going to open up on July 4th. If you want access to it as soon as it opens up on July 4th, we can send it over via email or text, whatever you want to do there, and you'll have access to join there to be able to see, obviously, all the moves I'm making, see my Fidelity Investments Patreon portfolio, see it from the ground up being built. It's absolutely must, obviously, get access to that. So that will be pinned comment down there, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoy that. All right, let's get into this.
President and CEO of Ford and CNBC contributor Mark Fields and Autotrader.com executive editor Brian Moody. Brian and Mark, good to have you on last call. Is this, Mark, I mean, we talked about it with Ford and GM, but now with Rivian, probably more to come. Is a game, set, match for Tesla winning the plug standard wars?
Well, I don't think it's game, set, match. I think, if you think about it right now, Brian, there's about 1 million vehicles on the road now that have the CCS type of charger. And the bottom line is, as you see the new products coming out from the manufacturers, there's still going to be a mix of both. But it's clear that with the agreements that Tesla has with Ford and GM and now Rivian, I mean, that's about 80% of the market right now. And I think you're going to see the other automakers kind of get on this because it's all about providing charging options and availability for their customers, and it's also about dependability and reliability. These charge point operators, their dependability of their charges has been a bit spotty. And
hold your horses before we go any further into this video, okay? Before we go into any further, so important I mention this, okay? Elon's always playing a high-level game of chess, and a lot of people don't understand it at first, and then all of a sudden, years later, they're like, oh, I get what he was doing. When Tesla was building out that supercharger network, which they've been building that for, it's probably been, 10 years now, way before I got involved in the stock, right? I've been an investor since around 18, 19, right? They were building out supercharger network way before I was in the stock. And, a lot of people are like, why would you spend all this money building out all this infrastructure just for your own company? But all along, it was the most brilliant idea because it didn't just give Tesla this amazing kind of moat around their business where somebody said, where am I going to charge this car if I got to go state to state? Oh, Tesla's the only company that really has a supercharger network. But he was also building it in probably a long-term thought process that no one else is going to do this. So they're all going to have to use our supercharger network, which is going to give us incredible positioning in the market for as long out as the eye can see here. Okay, so absolutely brilliant move, folks. And I want to listen to what these gentlemen have to say, and then I'll explain why this Rivian deal, in my opinion, is bigger than General Motors and Ford deals combined.
The new cars coming out from the automakers, they want to make sure those customers have a really good experience in charging their vehicles, or they're not going to come back for their next EV.
Yeah, I would imagine, listen, being able, 90% of whatever charging is done at home, I get it, Brian, but if you're going to be in a road trip, you need to know you can get charging. I've been driving around in EVs. It's spotty, to Mark's comment, to say that's probably a compliment, by the way. How critical of an issue do you think this is to EV adoption ultimately?
It's critical, I think, but if you look at what's happening here and what we just talked about with Musk talking to the leader of India, he's probably going to suggest to them that he can provide their infrastructure. And it looks like he's on the way toward providing significant infrastructure upgrades for our country. This is from a company that didn't really exist in any meaningful way 25 years ago, and they're already to the point where they're leading and these longtime other automakers are following. That's amazing to me. No matter what you think about Elon Musk, he gets lots of credit for creating a ground-up American automotive company that is now leading the way in a future technology. That's astounding.
Yeah, but Mark, I will say this. We're building out thousands of these non-Tesla.
And this is also a big step in Tesla being seen as something more than an auto company, right? Which a lot of bulls have always looked at Tesla as more of a technology company than just an auto company, right? But when you're seeing Tesla, they're actually, what are they? When they build out this supercharger network, are they more of a logistics company? Are they more of a energy company, right? Or are they more of a tech company? Maybe a little bit of both, right? And I can tell you, Tesla's always been pretty brilliant about where they put superchargers and kind of understanding like the best kind of spots if you're on a road trip and things like that. As somebody that's taken many road trips with Teslas over time, because I've owned Teslas. My first Tesla ever was a Model 3, and that was I think I got that one in 2019, I want to say. And as somebody that's owned Teslas for many, many years, I can tell you, the supercharger network is very good if you're traveling in between states. I feel like they could fit more superchargers in like major cities, but they're phenomenal if you got to take a road trip from Vegas to LA or come from Vegas to Phoenix or go to Utah or whatever. They're phenomenal with having superchargers where you need them. I just think they could fit more superchargers in an actual city for when you're driving around inside a city, in my opinion.
Charging stations around the country, a lot of that is done under the Inflation Reduction Act and climate spending and whatever it may be. You noted the million vehicle figure. That's a lot. Are there enough non-Tesla charging cars out there to keep those charging companies alive? You just wonder, is there going to be a period where there's going to be just littered with these sort of abandoned charging stations?
Well, the simple answer is if some of the other automakers, switch to the NACS, the North American Charging Standard, the simple answer is no. But you've noticed in the last week or two, most of the charge point operators have announced that they're going to also accept and put adapters on their existing chargers to allow for the NACS type of charging. I think the reason you mentioned earlier, their stocks have been, pretty crushed the last couple of weeks. If you look at the charge point operators, right now, I don't see anyone that has a really credible plan to get to sustainable profitability. And the cost that they now have to add to adopt the NACS adapter or charger to their existing chargers, it's only an additional cost. So, I do think it's a bit of a challenge for them. But the good news is the backdrop of the EV market that's going to continue to grow. So, the need for chargers across America is absolutely crucial. So that tailwind will actually be positive for them.
Yeah, good point there, okay? Good point. Obviously, Tesla's going to continue to, and I'll explain in just a moment here why this is bigger than GM and Ford, but Tesla's obviously going to have to continue to build out their supercharger network alone for quite a substantial amount of time. I'm sure there's going to be other charging options that continue to, get bigger out there over time, but I just think Tesla has the brand power there and is going to be known as, if you are going to buy a competing Tesla product, I think a lot of people are going to be like, where's a Tesla supercharger? Not where's the charger, not where can I charge at, where's a Tesla supercharger? Because one thing you've never heard, as somebody that's been in the Tesla community now for at least 5 years, I've never heard anybody complain and say the Tesla supercharger is unreliable. No one ever says that. But I hear that consistently when I hear anybody else talk about other chargers of any kind and how inconsistent they are and they don't know if they're going to work and they're confusing and all these sorts of things. Tesla's a very, streamlined, very easy process and, it just works and it's no problems, right? Now, the reason, in my opinion, this Rivian deal is bigger than General Motors and Ford, in my opinion, and as somebody that's owned Tesla for many years, watched the entire space for way before I ever got involved in Tesla stock, just been a watcher of this industry. In my opinion, the biggest competitive threat to Tesla long-term is Rivian. I actually think Rivian is going to be a lasting company. I actually think they're going to be successful. I don't own any Rivian stock, and I have no ambition to own any Rivian stock right now, at least. But I can tell you, I think they're going to be around, and I think they're going to be very successful. And sometimes I even look at myself and I'm like, okay, if if the Model X didn't exist, I can tell you I'd buy one of the Rivian SUVs. It looks like a very good quality product. It's what I would get if the Model X didn't exist. And I wouldn't be surprised if over time I end up owning a Rivian at some point in time, because if they keep getting better, I wouldn't be surprised if I own a Rivian. So I can tell you, I really truly believe that Rivian is more of a competitive threat, if we want to call them that, than actually a General Motors and Ford. I think those companies are messy. I think they're going to try to be as successful as possible. I think they're going to have a lot of issues trying to even convert their businesses to EVs and then self-driving and do all these sorts of things. And so, I wouldn't even be surprised if someday Rivian buys out one of those companies, just to be honest. And we'll see how all this transpires over time. But with the backing of Amazon at Rivian, and I think they're going to be a major player. I really do. I'm thinking about who can be number two. Workhorse and Lucid and all those other companies and Nikola and all those other ones. I don't know. Okay. But I'm pretty darn confident that Rivian can be a solid number two in the EV market over time, based upon what I've seen, what they've actually have in the market, what you could actually buy today between their truck and their SUV. I'm saying that looks pretty appetizing, and I think they'll be successful. And if they keep the pedal to the metal, they'll carve out a very nice number two position for themselves. So that's why I think it's bigger than GM and Ford, because I think Rivian is going to actually be around long term, and I think they're going to be really successful at EVs. So as successful as Tesla, heck no. But successful overall, I think absolutely. Alrighty, next video to get into in this one here today. Older retail traders are outpacing young traders on AI stock buying. What are we talking about here?
Lule Demisay, the CEO of eToro US. Lule, it's great to have you back on the show. I guess walk me through. We talk about it day in and day out, this investor excitement around AI. Walk me through some of the details around where you're seeing inflows and how it does break down demographically.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's one of the technology stories that have sort of defied stereotype. Typically, what you find is about 70% of our platform is millennials or younger, and they're the ones that dominate in tech ownership. And this time around, what you see is that AI kind of lifts all boats, meaning that they too participated in AI ownership. The top 10 holdings on our platform in Q4 and Q1 were either technology or AI players. So ultimately, what we see is that the older generation surpassed the younger generation when it comes to AI participation. And it's a very interesting phenomenon. And I think it's one that really sort of tells us that technology, when done well, can be age agnostic.
55 is young, right? So in a way, perhaps for your platform, I guess, is different. How different is that from crypto, from the meme stock craze that we saw? And is this perhaps reflected in the fact that so many mainstream, tried and true, even larger cap stock?
Before she gets into that, let me give my take on that. What's the difference between this AI boom and crypto and the meme stocks that a lot of younger people got caught up into, okay? Okay, AI is actually real, okay? Not to say crypto's not real and the meme stocks and the GameStop and all that stuff, but let's just be honest, okay? In terms of AI, we're going to see hundreds of billions of dollars of spending on AI, if not trillions of dollars over time, okay? Crypto is who knows, okay? The market's a mess. It's full with suspicious players, market manipulation. Just, it's a whole situation over there, okay? We know it's a dumpster fire, okay? Meme stocks, another dumpster fire. Like all that, we're going to burn the shorts and all that stuff. Look how it worked out. Every one of those situations failed miserably. They worked for a little short-term period of time, and people put all their stimulus checks in it, and then they all failed, okay? So they all failed, all of them. And so at the end of the day, this is a massive, massive difference. And those, the meme stock stuff and the crypto stuff, yeah, that attracted a lot of younger folks who were just bored and had too much time on their hands at home because they couldn't go out and do anything. But I can just tell you, the AI thing is actually real. There's actually massive amounts of spending. NVIDIA didn't just say we're going to do 60% revenue growth last year when, in this upcoming quarter, then, analysts were expecting 6%. They didn't just say that to say that. They said that because demand's overwhelmingly coming in. When Alex Karp says Palantir is getting as many inbound calls in a month that they used to get in a year, that's because, People are very interested. Companies, big corporations are interested in buying this product. And also older folks, they work for some of these big companies. They get to see the interest, the levels of demand, things like that, okay? So that's just something to kind of keep in mind in regards to that. So yeah, let's not even put this thing going on into the categories of the old thing. That's like saying, oh, the cloud craze when everybody was excited about cloud stocks is the same as this. Like, no.
Have AI stories built into them, and I'm thinking the likes of Microsoft, Google, Alphabet, and NVIDIA.
Yeah, like any new innovation and new fever around things, there's always the risk of a bubble that bursts, right? But I think what we are seeing a lot of around us is investors seeing not only the promise of AI, but also they're starting to touch and feel it, whether it's ChatGPT or other things that they're being able to see in a more sort of immediate way, the realization of it. So I think that there is both hype, but there's also substance underneath it, which is why you're seeing older generations partake as much as younger ones. And you're absolutely right, 55 is young.
So, we've seen a big run-up in some of these names we've been talking about. Are you still continuing to see the same level of activity and enthusiasm from investors, or are you starting to see a shift? We've been talking about it, this rotation in the broader market. Are you seeing it there too?
Yeah, it's interesting. The retail investor is pretty savvy. So we do see when there is a little bit more of a cooling factor, you'll see more people not necessarily sell, but the buys might get a little cooler. But we also have options on our platform. So what we find also is that people not only do the long game in terms of what they buy and hold, but also, especially with these sort of 0 days sort of expiration options, that gives them an ability to play out their thesis in a quicker, shorter time horizon when it comes to these market disruptions.
What about risk? What have you seen happening in 2023 versus 2022 and earlier? Is there as much shorting? Is there as much, kind of betting the farm and taking these, long leveraged bets that were pretty risky and popular in even early 2021?
So a few things about risk. So one of the things you see is that risk appetite has gone up, period. So our large, by far the majority of our customers still have a high risk tolerance sort of profile. Now that could be because they're younger and they feel like they have a longer time horizon in front of them. But what we also see is people play out risk differently. So if they have an asset that has lost a lot of value, they're holding on to it.
Hold on, before we go any further, okay? This needs to be said. Absolutely, this needs to be said, okay? Risk. What is risk? People like to throw risk out there. Does that mean growth stocks are risk? Is that really risky? Companies that are growing nicely over time, that are expected to continue to grow for years to go or decades to go in the future? Is that really risky? Is buying Kraft Heinz stock not risky? Is there some sort of disruption that can happen there over time, right? So this whole talk about risk, it's fascinating to me, because a lot of times what people are basically saying, when people are taking risk, it's because they are essentially, going long growth stocks. And you got to understand, it's actually far less risky than it seems, okay? A good example is, I had an interesting tweet I came across recently, okay? And, let me share this with you guys. So NVIDIA stock performance over time, right? Which NVIDIA could be seen as a very risky company. Oh my gosh, it's growth stock. It many times has had high valuations or whatever. These are NVIDIA's results over the past number of years. 2000, the stock was up 39%. 2001, 308%. 2002, it was down 83%. Got obliterated. Then it went up 101% in 03. 1.6% in 04, so basically flat. 2005, 55% gain.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
Whoa. Mind your business, Siri. Okay, 2006, 102% gain. 2007, 37% gain. 2008, it was down 76%. It got obliterated in 2008. Then 2009, it bounced back with 131% gain. 2010 through 2012, it was down double-digit percentages each of those years, 17%, 10%, 11%. 2013 up 33%, 2014 up 27%, 2015 up 67%, 2016 up 226%, 2017 up 82%. Then 2018, it took a breather. It was down about 31%. 2019 up 77%, 2020 up 122%, 2021 up 125%. 2022 is down 50%. So far this year, it's up about, 170 to 200% so far, right? So I think that goes to show you, I don't know what's going on with Siri. Siri, you be tripping back here? Like, what are you doing? You doing AI on me, Siri? Playing with me, my goodness, man. Trying to mess around over here. So, NVIDIA, it could be seen as very risky because did you hear some of those years? Like, for instance, 2002, 2008, stock got obliterated, right? 2010 through 2012, the stock didn't do anything. It just went down double digits year after year after year. At the end of the day, I think NVIDIA has been one of the least risky stocks to be in for the past 23 years. It just has. Just because you have a few down years here and there doesn't negate all the years you had that were up 50%, 100%, 200%, 300%. At the end of the day, NVIDIA has been one of the best performing stocks in the stock market, despite being one of the hardest hit stocks in many of those years. So is that really risky? I could take you through Tesla stock. We'd find the same exact phenomenon. Is Tesla stock really risky? Just because every once in a blue moon you're going to get hit and hit hard? What about the fact that that's a massive buying opportunity? And then every single time out of that, you get a massive explosion in the stock. These are things to consider. So, I think we got to look at risk maybe a little bit differently.
Looking to be defensive, you see some of our top names from a defensive perspective as, for instance, healthcare. And then you see people being a little bit more opportunistic on that risk spectrum, as I said, with things like zero, day expiration options, et cetera. So I think that risk is not seen as absolute by retail investors so much as the narrative around them has become.
The last time we had you on the show, we were talking about the
healthcare is seen as not risky until the government cracks down and all of a sudden wants a huge piece of the pie, which they're trying to force these pharmaceutical companies now to give them a huge bunch of their profits. I think a lot of things are seen as not risky until they are.
Toro partnership with Twitter. Since then, we've seen Elon Musk out doing a lot of interviews, including one on CNBC. We've seen the company get a new CEO, Linda Yaccarino. I guess just give us an update on how that partnership is going.
It's going great. I mean, part of it is that it's symbiotic, and we didn't necessarily think it was a partnership to turn Twitter into a financial firm per se, but what we felt was symbiotic. As you know, eToro is a social trading platform. So it made sense we were going to the largest sort of financial services social platform, which is Twitter, to be able to engage customers. So it's been a very fruitful relationship for us, and in terms of educating our customers as they start out with cash tags.
Interesting, okay? So nonetheless, folks, what do we know? Elon pulling deals out of nowhere, working on things that just are higher level than other folks could pull off. And he's working on stuff, I'm sure, right now. And Tesla's working on stuff right now that we're not going to see. And it's not going to play out for 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 7 years from now. That are going to be brilliant things, just as this Tesla supercharger network has also turned into this massive, massive opportunity for the company, right? So appreciate y'all joining me as always. Thanks so much, folks. Make sure you check out pinned comment down there to get entered in for our 4th of July sale that's coming for the $10 Patreon tier. Much love and have a great day.